tax as opposed to a hard cap.
I'll walk you into that one. You gonna draw your basketball that you seem to be good at doing?
I may just write the hammer again.
Do that.
That's a good basketball.
It'd be
I
better
know what
if
it
was
is.
hard.
I know what it is. I know what it is.
Well, they got, much to the surprise of you and I, there will be basketball in
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah, I definitely said no season.
Yeah, I think you said no season. I said January.
Yeah, you knocked it down to 50. I said none.
Yeah, but it looks like just to catch everybody up, the owners and players agreed a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
or about a week ago, and we're going to see a 60-plus game season. It's going to start on Christmas Day. They're going to jam some extra games there. Full playoffs, which means I think 95% of the teams are going to make the playoffs, which is how it works in the NBA. And play through those dreadful 7-game series everywhere through the finals. And the season will finish sometime around Thanksgiving next year, if I'm not mistaken.
So Christmas Day starting, right?
Christmas Day start, yep.
Some salary cap
Yeah, I mean,
information.
here's exactly what kind of changed in the new proposal. The owners were throwing out a couple things. First off, they needed to get the total money down, the money share down. In the past, the players had about 57% of the money, and that was just too much. A lot of the owners weren't making any money. A lot of the teams were going bankrupt, to be quite honest. They ended up dropping it down to right about 50%. If revenues come in high, the player share can go up to about 51%. If revenues go low, it's going to be 49%. As far as how the salary cap comes into play,
Yeah.
now teams are going to have to, I think for the first 3 years of the deal, have to spend at least 85% of the salary cap. After that, they have to spend at least 90% of the salary cap. So that kind of guarantees more money for the players, whereas in the past it was lower than that. But the big change for the salary caps is that there really is no big change. The
Big news, yeah.
the big news, right? The league wanted a harder cap. Now, hey, yeah, you have this $100 million salary cap, but you can go over, you could pay extra for players already on your team. You could pay extra for free agents if you paid a luxury tax. You could have 3 max players. None of that changed.
Which is the key for the New York Knicks.
Right.
Us being Knicks fans, mid-50 millions as far as the salary cap. Now, going into the 2011 season, you remember when Carmelo Anthony forced his way out. That was midway through the 2011 season. Going into the 2011 season, LeBron forced his way out.
Right.
And now we're hearing that 2 more players are starting to force their way out. And that's not roadblocked due to the New Deal.
Right.
The New Deal has not blocked that from happening because the salary cap structure hasn't really changed.
No.
So you've got Chris Paul and Dwight Howard,
Right.
both trying to force their way out. And I'll bring up the name brand players. And then a third player is already saying that he's not going to re-sign going forward, which is Darren Williams.
Right.
So even though the Nets have their new Brooklyn deal going,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to be able to keep their star point guard apparently,
Yeah.
Unless Jay-Z swoops in and decides to throw some bling at him, right?
Which could happen.
On the side.
Which could happen.
On the side, right?
Yeah, I can't come on to New York Nets or New York Nets, I guess. Books, Brooklyn Nets.
Right, exactly. So the scuttlebutt is that Dwight Howard will be a Laker,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul will be a Knick, and Darren Williams is kind of up in the air. I'm a Knicks fan. Do I recognize the big Knicks fan? When the Knicks are good, I'm like all in. Do I recognize the inequity of the current salary cap? Absolutely. They can shut her down once we get either Chris Paul or Darren Williams, because this, ultimately basketball. One of the reasons, my opinion, one of the reasons why NBA is in the predicament it's in is because a mecca like New York City has been in the dregs for so long. The Chicago Bulls have been down for so long. Recently, obviously, Derrick Rose has brought them back up. Right. No one wants to watch the Lakers dominate and them having no competition.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Dallas, love you, but it's not a glitzy market. You need New York City. You need Chicago. Miami's a good move. You need the Lakers. To me, deep down, when David Stern goes to bed, it's one of the reasons why he didn't push for that hard cap, because he needs the coasts being full of green teams.
Yeah, and if the players want to get to that 51% number, overall league revenues have to go up. I mean, let's think about an area like New York City. If New York City is a better team, they're selling more tickets, they're selling more merchandise. That brings that overall number up, and that's going to give that 51% to the players. So the players should want New York to be good too.
The thing about Chris Paul versus a guy like Chauncey Billups, who's on the Knicks right now, is that Chris Paul's obviously an up-and-comer.
Right.
Whereas Chauncey Billups at his peak was a total monster, and he's the kind of guy you want leading your team. But if you've got Carmelo Anthony and you've got, I'm forgetting the other forward's name all of a sudden, Carmelo Anthony and
Stoudemire.
and Amari Stoudemire, you've got a certain window.
Yeah.
And that window really meets more nicely with Chris Paul rather than Chauncey Billups.
It does. They need another
Or
player.
Darren Williams.
Yeah, I mean, Darren Williams, I personally think Darren Williams is a great player and would think he would do just as well there as Chris Paul. So yeah, I mean, Chauncey Billups, his little tryout, if you want to call that, when he came over with Carmelo Anthony in the kind of last third of last season, I don't think he did that great. So, the Knicks
hurt for a while.
he was hurt, and he's getting older, let's be honest. I mean, he's well past his prime. So yeah, I mean, that's what the Knicks need to get better, and it looks like now with the new structure, they're going to be able to get that.
Knicks picked him up for this season. We do have Billups for next season.
Right.
But basically, they still would be able to trade mid-season for Chris Paul, and then obviously Chauncey Billups would be out the door going into 2013. New York Knicks, man. I am excited about the Knicks.
Yeah, man, you don't want to say that. That was great.
I do.
That was great.
If when the